gonna do a little yoga, always listening to your body, always taking care of yourself. I make suggestions, and if it works, great. And if you need to modify, adjust, or do something different, then do that. We're gonna start in a standing pose, taking a moment to find your feet. Spread out your toes, maybe even lift the toes up, spread them out, and then ground them back down into the earth. Pressing into the little toe edge side of the foot, the big toe edge side of the foot, and pressing evenly from the ball to the heel of each foot. Finding that foundation, taking a moment just to ground down, create that stability, and finding energy moving up through the legs. We're going to soften the tailbone, let the navel come back towards the spine. Let the heart open up, the shoulders soften, and the hands rest down by the side. Maybe we even want to wiggle those fingers out a little bit. Soften the hands, letting them slightly curl. The neck is long, crown of the head is reaching up, chin level with the ground, and either you find a gentle gazing point in front of you, or you let the eyes close. So we take a moment just to tune in. Taking a moment to arrive here in this space, to connect in to the body, to the breath. Noticing how the breath moves, where the breath moves. Letting it fill up the lungs, expand into the rib cage, creating a little more space between the rib bones to fill with air. We're going to keep that nice fluid breath with us as we gently start to move. Finding an inhale, we're going to bring the arms up overhead, maybe interlacing the fingers above the head. If you need to keep the hands face down, or maybe turning the palms up towards the sky, we press those palms up. Again, keeping a bend in the elbows if you need to keep a bend in the elbows. We're working to press those palms up and straighten the arms a little bit more. Keep the shoulders soft, shoulder blades moving down the back, and we start to open up through the front body. Finding a gentle back bend here, opening the heart upwards, staying grounded through the feet, and breathe. Inhale, we lift up nice and tall, and exhale, we come over towards the right side. Staying grounded through that left foot, lengthening through the side of the body, maybe even turning the gaze up. Rolling that top shoulder back, opening the heart. Couple breaths here. Find length and lift. And then inhale, we come up through center, and exhale over to the left side. Again, staying grounded through that right foot. We lengthen through the right side body. Pressing up through the palm. And then inhale, lifting back up. Exhale, we'll relax the hands back down by the side. Soften the shoulders, breathe. So we're going to start with just a few half sun salutations, keeping the feet grounded where they are. We're going to find an inhale to bring the arms out and up, lifting up again. We find that gentle back bend. Exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hips, leading with the heart, head and hands drop down. Inhale, we lengthen the spine, open the heart, reach the crown of the head forward. And exhale, we soften back down over the legs. Inhale, we lift all the way back up, press into the feet, lift up, open the heart. And exhale, the hands come back around. Let's do a few more of those following the breath. Inhale, arms up, open up. Exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hips. Inhale, lift and lengthen, reach the crown of the head forward, and exhale, soften back down. Inhale, we lift all the way back up, reach up, open up. And exhale, the hands back around. Two more. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, soften. Inhale, lift back up, reach up. And exhale, hands come back around. Last one, following that breath. The breath guides the movement. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, back down. Inhale, all the way up. Arms reach up. And exhale. Those hands come back around. Take a moment, check in. We're going to work into our full sun salutations. If you're not already at the narrow edge of your mat, making your way to the narrow edge of your mat. I use lunge forwards and back to help get into those hips a little bit. We'll do one to each side. Again, hands can be at the side or come together at heart center. We follow that breath, finding an inhale to bring the arms out and up. Again, finding that gentle back bend. And exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hips. If you need to bend the knees so the hands find the ground, inhale, steps that right foot back. Hips sink down, heart opens. And pressing into the hands, exhale, downward facing dog. Hips lift up and back. Inhale, we come forward to plank. Shoulders just in front of the wrists as we exhale, chaturanga, lower down, keeping the body nice and tight. Inhale, open to the heart. Upward facing dog or a smaller back bend if you need it. And exhale, downward facing dog. Pressing into the hands, lifting those hips up and back. Good dog. As you're ready, we're going to find an inhale to bring that right foot forward. Runner's lunge. Hips sink down. Exhale, left foot forward, fold over the legs. Inhale, we press in the feet, lift all the way up, open the heart up. And exhale, those hands come back around. We'll do the second side. Again, finding an inhale, arms reach out and up. Exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hips, head and hands come forward. Inhale, left foot steps back, hips sink down, heart opens. And exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, we come forward to plank, shoulders over the wrists, and exhale, lower down, chaturanga, elbows in. Inhale, open the heart, and exhale, downward facing dog. Couple breaths here. Keep breathing. Soften those heels down, lift those hips up. As you're ready, we find an inhale, left foot forward, runner's lunge, hips sink down. Exhale, right foot forward, fold over the legs. Inhale, we lift all the way up, arms reach up, open up, and exhale, hands come back around. Again, taking a few breaths here, checking in. Notice the breath. As you're ready, we'll release those hands. We're going to work a little bit with balance. We're going to work on our tree pose. So right foot is our foundation. Take the time to set it up. Spread out the toes. Hip is over the ankle and the eyes are steady. Find a gentle gazing point somewhere on the ground just in front of you. Few options. If you want kickstand, heel comes to the ankle, toes stay on the ground. Otherwise, the foot might come to the inside of the calf or all the way up to the inside of the thigh, keeping it above or below the knee. Finding that connection between foot and leg, leg and foot. Softening the tailbone down, navel pulls back towards the spine, heart opens. If you like, hands come together at heart center. You need the hands on the hips or somewhere else for balance, finding that. See if you can really press that left knee out to the side, opening up through that hip. Take a few breaths, keep those eyes steady. As you're ready, we're going to go ahead and release. Maybe just shaking that ankle out, wiggling those toes a little bit as we set up for the other side. Left foot, grounding you down, spread out the toes, hip over the ankle, eyes steady. Keeping the eyes in one steady gazing point. We might bring the foot down towards the ankle, the inside of the calf, or all the way up towards the thigh. Again, thinking about opening the hip, pointing that right knee out towards the side. Tailbone softens, navel back towards the spine, hands come together at heart center. Keep the shoulders soft, neck long, chin level with the earth. Finding that nice, slow, steady breathing. If you fall, you just come back, you try again. Allowing yourself the room to practice without judgment. And again, as you're ready, exhale, we'll go ahead and release. You need to shake it off, move those ankles around, wiggle the toes. We're gonna set up for triangle. So we're gonna keep the left foot forward. We're gonna step the right foot back, turning those right toes out towards the long edge of your mat. Hips open up, so we're rolling back through that right hip, softening the tailbone down and pulling the navel back towards the spine. As you're ready, we're gonna inhale, bring those arms up, and exhale, lengthen out over that right leg, letting that that left hand come towards the thigh, towards the shin, maybe towards the ankle. Not worried about how far we're reaching, but finding a comfortable place where we can lengthen out through the spine, reach out through the crown of the head. You can keep the gaze down on the ground or turn that gaze up towards that right thumb. Few breaths here. Really working to stack the shoulders. Create length through the spine, finding as much space through the left side of the torso as the right. As you're ready, pressing down in the feet, we inhale, lift up. Exhale, relax the hands as we set up for warrior two. Maybe it's a slightly wider stance, so we pull that back foot a little further away. Still have those left toes pointing forward, right toes angled towards the long edge of the mat, and the hips open. This time the spine is staying nice and tall. Shoulders are over the hips. Inhale those arms up. Exhale, we bend the left knee. Again, if you need to adjust a little, adjust so that the knee is over the ankle. If it's coming past the ankle, you can probably widen your stance a little bit. Once we get the legs in place, press into that little toe side of that back foot. We keep the spine tall. Arms reaching out, maybe the gaze is past that front hand. Breathe. We soften the shoulders a little bit, creating some space between the shoulders and the ears. Use that breath, that'll give you strength. From here, we're gonna move into extended side angle. That left elbow comes down towards the left thigh, right arm reaches up and over. Hip still sinking down, rolling that top shoulder open so we create a little more space in the heart. Keep reaching out through those top fingertips, finding a nice long line from back heel all the way out through the fingertips. Breathe. And then as you're ready, inhale, we'll lift all the way up, straighten the leg. Exhale, relax the hands. We'll keep it comfortable wide, maybe not quite as wide as we are. Turn all the toes towards the long edge of our mat. And exhale, fold down over the legs. You want the hands at the ground. Maybe they don't reach the ground. You hang on to forearms, letting the head drop down. You might give the head a little shake or a nod just to loosen things up. You might have to bend one knee or both knees, or shift a little bit side to side. And just kind of doing what feels good for your body, for your practice. And then as you're ready, a little bend in the knees, hands might come to the hips or thighs. We lift ourselves up. We'll just do those poses to the other side by turning the toes out. So whichever side you didn't do before, maybe right toes are now facing the narrow edge of the mat, left toes forward, hips open, spine tall. We start with triangle pose. Inhale those arms up, exhale, reach forward over with those right fingertips, and then allow the hand to come down towards the thigh, the shin, the ankle. Again, not worried about how far we're reaching, especially if we collapse through the bottom side of the torso, but finding that length, that lift, reaching out through the crown of the head, and letting the movement come from that right hip gently shifting back. Left hand might reach for the sky. Again, you can keep the gaze on the ground or turn the gaze up towards that top thumb. We're going to stack the shoulders, create length, reaching out through the hands, through the feet, through the crown of the head. Breathe. And then as you're ready, pressing the feet down into the earth, we'll inhale, lift up, exhale, we'll relax the hands, taking the feet a little bit wider apart again for our warrior two. Right toe still pointing forward, left toes towards me, hips open, tailbone softens. And again, as you're ready, inhale those arms back up. Exhale, we bend that right knee, sink the hips down. If it doesn't feel right, adjust. Make sure you've got that knee over the ankle. Soften the tailbone, navel pulls back, shoulders away from the ears, spine is long, gaze is past those front fingertips. into our extended side angle. So right elbow comes down towards the right thigh. Left arm might reach up and over. So we find one long line from that back heel all the way out through the fingertips. A lot of times we start to back off on that front knee. See if we can keep sinking the hips down, bending that front knee over the ankle, opening the heart, rolling that top shoulder back. Breathe. Find that strength in the legs. As you're ready, inhale, we lift all the way up. Exhale, relax the hands. Again, we'll take that wide-legged forward fold. Find a comfortable wide. Toes face the long edge of your mat, and we hang down over the legs. Again, take a few breaths here. Shift around, soften, relax. Breathe. Into a wide-legged squat, also known as a goddess squat. So we might use the hands on the ground to help turn those toes out at about a 45-degree angle. We might have to adjust our stance a little bit. We start to bend the knees. We want the knees lining up with the second toes. Sink those hips down, and maybe the hands come up towards the thigh for support. As we sink down, softening the tailbone towards the earth. Hands could stay at the hips. Hands could come towards heart center. You might even take cactus arms or a mudra, first finger to thumb. Again, if you need the support, bring the hands right back to the thighs. Take a few breaths here, breathing into those tight spaces, helping to open up. You want to shift a little bit side to side. All right. Finding a nice good inhale to lift you back up, straighten those legs. Exhale, we'll relax the hands, and we'll step on up towards the narrow edge of our mat. Take a moment, move those ankles around, wiggle the toes. We come back to Tadasana, our mountain pose. Just taking a moment to ground down through the feet, lift up through the spine, soften the shoulders. Check in with the breath. Closed hip poses. So we're going to work with warrior one. Left foot stays forward, right foot steps back. And this time, rather than opening the hips towards the wide edge of your mat, we're keeping it at the narrow edge of your mat. We've got an angle on that back foot. It's all going to be a little different. Maybe it's about 45 degrees, but we want the little toe edge side pressing into the mat so we have strength through that back leg, bringing that right hip forward so the hips and the shoulders face the narrow edge of the mat. From here, we're going to find an inhale to bring the arms out and up, shoulders broad, palms face in, and exhale, we bend the left knee. Now, if you need to adjust, take the time to adjust. Maybe you take your feet further apart. Maybe you take them a little wider so you have a little more stability. Once we find that place where we can press into the little toe edge side of that back foot, gently pull that right hip forward, soften the tailbone, pull the navel back. Start to settle in. Checking in that the left knee is over the ankle. You should be able to gaze down and see just that front big toe. You can see all the toes. That means you need to deepen the bend just a little bit more. Check in with the shoulders. Reach up through those arms, but keep the shoulders soft. Notice what's going on in the muscles in the face. Are we clenching? Do we soften the jaw, the cheeks, the brow? As you're ready, we're going to inhale, straighten that front leg. Exhale, relax the hands. We're going to adjust for pyramid pose, same stance, just a little bit more narrow, so maybe the feet come a little closer. We still have that angle in the back foot. Bringing that right hip forward. Hands might just stay at the hips, or they can come behind the back, however it works. That means grabbing fingertips. That means grabbing forearm. You can even work on your prayer pose. Pressing down into the feet, we're going to lift up. Open the heart. Roll the shoulders back, and exhale. We hinge at the hips. Leading with the heart, we come forward. If you need to adjust, Make sure you're pressing down into the little toe edge of that back foot. Bring the right hip forward, left hip back. Hands can stay behind the back. Hands could come to the shins, the thighs, or even the ground for more stability. Couple more breaths here. Pressing down into the feet, we're going to inhale, lift ourselves all the way back up. Exhale, relax the hands. We'll step on up towards the top of the mat. We're just going to take a nice forward fold here. Feet about hip width apart, ground down through the feet, hinge at the hips. Let that spine lengthen out over the legs. Again, hands can hang heavy. You could grab forearms. Just drop that head right down. If you need a bend in the knees to soften a little bit, let there be a bend in the knees. Maybe even work to straighten one leg and then the other. And with a little bend in the knees, inhale, we'll lift ourselves up, and we'll do those poses to the other side. Right foot stays forward, left foot steps back for warrior one. Again, we have an angle in that left foot so that we're pressing down to the little toe edge side of that back foot, bringing that left hip forward, squaring the hips, shoulders off at the narrow edge of your mat. Soften the tailbone, pull the navel back. Inhale those arms up, shoulders soft, palms face in. Exhale, we bend that right knee. Again, if you can't see any of your toes, that means you can widen your stance a little bit. Work on squaring the hips and then deepening the bend in the knee. Find strength to press into the little toe edge side of that back foot, finding length through that back leg. Soften the shoulders, open the heart. Breathe. Inhale, straightens that front leg. Exhale, relax the hands. We'll set up for pyramid. Stepping that back foot up just a little bit. Squaring those hips off. Hands might come to the hips or somehow behind the back. Grabbing fingertips, forearms, or maybe even prayer pose. Again, this is always choose your own adventure. So if that doesn't work, find something that does. Pressing into the feet, we lift up through the spine, open the heart, roll those shoulders back, hinging at the hips. We come forward out over that right leg, nice and long. Not collapsing down, but finding length as we move forward. Keeping the head in line with the spine. Always feel free to use your hands on the leg, on the ground for support. Find strength through those legs. Use the core to lengthen through the spine. Great. Pressing the feet down into the earth. Inhale, we'll lift ourselves back up. Exhale, release the hands. We'll step on up towards the top of the mat. And again, hang down, forward fold. Keeping the legs straight, putting a bend in the knees, maybe working one leg at a time. We press down through the heels, lift up through the hips. Soften the shoulders, the neck, the head. Breathe. Make our way to the ground. You can put a little bend in the knees till your hands find the earth, and we'll just make our way back to hands and knees. Taking some time to spread out those fingertips. We want the shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees, nice long spine in between. We're going to do a few cat-cow postures here just to loosen the spine up. Finding an inhale to lift the head and the hips, drop the belly, open the heart, roll those shoulders gently back. And exhale, we round the spine, dropping the head and the hips down, navel lifts up. Following the breath, we move back and forth. Really listen to what feels good for your body. If moving back and forth feels good, great. And if you want to start to move in more of a barrel roll, you might roll up through the right side, down through the left. Maybe it feels good to stay in cow for a few postures. Wiggle your tail, move the neck, the head. Or maybe you want to hang out in cat for a few breaths. Just letting that breath guide the movement and exploring what feels good here. Taking your time, we finish up with an exhale. And we'll find our way back to a neutral spine. So we're going to take the right leg back behind us, plugging the toes down into the mat. We press back through that right heel, keep the hips square, shoulders are over the wrists. And finding a little length through that back leg by pressing the toes down and pressing that right heel back. Again, checking that the shoulders are right over the wrists, and if they're behind, maybe walking those toes up just a few more inches. If you want to stay right here, finding length through the back of the right leg. If you want to engage the core and see about lifting that left knee up off the chest, or off the floor towards the chest. Couple breaths here. Keep breathing. All right, left knee comes down. Right knee comes down, shift around. We'll try that to the other side. Left leg is long, left toes plugging down into the earth. Press back through that left heel. Keep the hips square. Find length through the back of the left leg. Again, check in that the shoulders are over the wrists, and if you need to adjusting a little bit before we press back through that left leg. And if you'd like, engaging the core, lifting that right knee. Breathe. If you lifted that right knee comes back down, left knee comes down. Again, take a moment to shift around. Check in that those fingers are nice and spread out. We're really grounding down through the rim around the palm. We're going to tuck the toes and exhale, make our way to downward facing dog. Press into those hands. Lift those hips up and back, really bringing the arms in line with the spine, softening the heart down. Head comes between the arms and heels soften towards the earth, even if they're nowhere near the earth. Letting that be their general direction towards the ground. And we're going to play a little bit with some movement with the breath here. So finding an inhale, we're just going to shift our weight forward towards plank. Shoulders come over the wrists. And exhale, shift the weight back, opening up through the shoulders, hips lift up and back. Couple more. Inhale, shifting forward. And exhale, shifting back. And one more. We come forward. And exhale, back to down dog. Couple breaths. So we're going to work our way towards a low lunge. So this time again, we're going to shift forward, but we're going to bring our left foot with us, bringing that left foot between the hands. Maybe it takes a few steps to get there. We're going to drop that right knee down onto the ground and keep those toes tucked, or if you like, the top of the foot can come down to the earth as well. Hands can stay on either side of that left foot, or they could come to the inside of that left foot. We're just going to start to sink down, really softening those hips down. If the knee comes a little past the ankle, that's all right here. If it's coming past the toes, maybe we wiggle those toes out a little bit further. Take a couple breaths. Breathe into those tight spaces. Never pushing or forcing, but allowing the breath to open you up, nice and slow. We're going to see about shifting the weight back. So we're going to use the hands to support us as we lengthen that front leg. We might even bring those front toes off the ground, pulling the toes back towards the torso, finding a little more length through the back of that front leg. You could keep the torso lifted, or you could use the hands to support you as you gently fold forward over that front leg, really finding a nice stretch through the hamstrings and the calves. And then shifting your weight forward again one more time. We'll come into that nice, deep, low lunge. You could always stay right here. If any of you want to move a little deeper, you could play with coming towards forearms. Maybe you try that. That doesn't feel good, so you back off. Find length through the spine, not just collapsing the head down. Keep that head in line with the spine. From here, we're going to see about making our way out of this pose. So if you deepened, come back to the hands, tuck those back toes. Maybe you come to hands and knees and then down dog. Maybe you can take that left hand to the outside of that left foot, step that left foot back, downward facing dog. Pedal those legs, bend one knee and then the other, shift the hips, take a few breaths. And then we'll do the other side. So again, shifting the weight forward just like we did when we were coming to plank, but bringing that right leg with you. Right foot steps forward, left knee drops down. Again, keeping those toes tucked. We're dropping the top of the foot to the earth and using the hands for support. Maybe the hands come inside the leg as we sink the hips down. Knee might come just a little past the ankle, but wiggle those toes out if the knee's coming past the toes. Couple breaths, keep the spine long. And then shifting the weight back, we lengthen through the front of the legs, toes curl back, softening over the front. Soften that heart down. Keep pulling back through that right hip, pressing out through the heel, toes curl back. Start finding as much length as possible through the back of the leg. And then one more time, we shift forward, finding our way back to that lunge. Again, you can stay at the hands, or if it feels good, finding your way down towards the forearms. Notice if that knee starts to pop out, can you hug that right thigh in towards the torso? Press down through the big toe edge side of that right foot to help you find that. If you deepen, we find our way back to the hands and tucking those back toes. Shift back, downward facing dog. Again, however you've got to get there. If you need to come through hands and knees, take a break from down dog. This is your practice. Give your body what it needs. All right, we're going to work towards pigeon pose. So again, we're going to see about reaching that left leg up towards the sky, finding a three-legged dog. You could even open the hip or bend the knee, pressing into the hands, opening the shoulders. And then we're going to shift the weight forward towards plank, just like before. But this time we're going to hook that left heel to the outside of that right leg. You might even just walk that right leg back a little bit on the knees and the toe, until you can drop maybe the top of the foot towards the earth. Now use the hands. A lot of times we roll over onto that left hip. Can you keep those hips square, softening that right hip down as well as the left? If you'd like, again, using the hands to support, you might start to come forward, not just collapsing down, but keeping that length in the spine as we start to fold forward over that left leg. Using that breath to slowly move deeper, never forcing, never pushing, simply allowing. A few breaths here. And then we're going to make our way from this pose, maybe tucking the toes. Again, if you have to come through hands and knees, maybe pressing into the hands, we find our way back, downward facing dog. Shift around, work it out, take a few breaths. And we'll try that to the other side. As you're ready, right leg lifts up. You might open the hip, you might bend the knee. Notice if that right shoulder starts to pop out, can you soften that right shoulder towards the ground? Heart turns towards the earth as we twist through the spine to open up that top hip. From here, we're going to move forward towards our pigeon pose. So shifting the weight forward. Right knee tucks, and then the heel hooks the outside of that left leg. And we work that left leg back, sinking the hips down, keeping them square towards the ground. We might release the top of that left foot to the earth. Use the hands to support you. Maybe even open the heart up, find that length through the spine. And then as you're ready, coming forward. Take a few breaths here. If you're finding a lot of pain on that back knee, press the top of that left foot into the earth to take a little of that pressure off. A few more breaths. All right, as you're ready, find those hands beneath you again, tucking those back toes. If you want to come to hands, knees, if you want to press back, downward facing dog, shift around, a few more breaths here. And then when you're ready, we'll take a moment in child's pose. Letting the knees come down towards the earth. You could keep the knees together. You could take the knees a little bit wider apart as we let the hips settle back towards the heels. Keep the arms out in front of us, lengthening out through the spine. We might let the head come down between the arms. As you're ready, we're going to work our way over to a seated position. However you need to get there, we're going to work a little bit with our forward folds. So we're going to let that right leg come nice and long. Left foot comes somewhere inside. Maybe that's the thigh. We're going to let that left knee soften down, square off those hips. And we could use the hands on either side of the hips to help be nice and long. Spine is tall, heart is open. Reach up through the crown of the head. Now for some of you, this might be plenty, just pressing energy out through that right heel, toes curling back, and sitting up nice and tall. If this feels good, stay here. You want to start to work your way forward. Maybe the hands come on either side of the leg, and we hinge at the hips, slowly starting to work the torso forward. Think about reaching the heart out towards the toes rather than the head down towards the knee. Nice and slow. As you're ready, we're going to inhale, lift up. We're going to take a bend in that right leg, bringing the foot towards the earth. We're working again on lengthening through the back of the legs. So if you want to use your hands at the foot to lengthen the leg, great. For some of you, that may not work. So instead, we're going to bring the hands behind the thigh and just give the thigh a nice hug. See about lifting the leg and starting to straighten the leg. From there, you might see about walking the hands towards the calf, towards the ankle, or eventually maybe someday the foot. Again, pressing out through the heel so we find that length. Notice if the torso is starting to round back. Can you pull the heart forward towards the leg? Sit up on those sit bones and bring the heart towards the leg as the leg comes towards the heart. And then we'll go ahead and release that leg. We're going to turn this into half hero's pose. So we're going to work that right foot back towards the right hip. This again will be a little different for all of us. If you have tight hips, knees, quads, the toe is going to be facing out towards the side, and there's going to be a lot of space between the heel and the hip. Maybe we can start to work the top of the foot towards the mat and the heel a little closer to the hip. More likely than not, you'll be pushed off to the left side. So see if you can anchor back down through that right sit bone, sit nice and tall. For any of you still want a little bit more, you can keep that right hand on the ground, left arm reaches up, and we can find a gentle side stretch. digging just a little deeper. Inhale, we lift all the way back up. Exhale, relaxes the hands. Unwind that right leg. Give it a little love. Maybe rub down the knee. Give it some love pat. Say thanks. And we'll do the other side. Left leg long. Right foot comes in. Energy out through that left heel. Toes curl back. Square off the hips. Let the spine be tall. Hands might come towards either side of the hips. Again, just working to decompress the low back. So often we've got that rounded spine. We're pressing off of the sit bones. So just sitting nice and tall can be plenty of a stretch. If it feels like a good idea to come forward, slowly walk the hands forward, hinging at the hips, torso long, heart leads. Couple more breaths. It's a perfect opportunity to let go of distraction. Stay present. Focused on what's going on here within your body, within this breath. If you fold it forward, we inhale, lift up. Again, we'll bend that front leg, bringing the hands behind the leg to give it a hug or maybe grabbing onto the foot. And then seeing about lifting the leg, keeping the spine tall, extending out through that left leg, pressing out through the heel. Hands could stay at the thigh if that's what works. You could work your way to the calf, to the ankle, or maybe someday grabbing onto the foot. Again, notice if we're rounding. Press down into the sit bones. Lift up through the spine to open the heart. Couple more breaths. And then releasing. Again, we're going to work on our half hero pose. So that left leg comes back. Again, the foot may be way out to the side. Otherwise, we might start to work the top of the foot down towards the earth. Stick that heel in a little closer towards the hip. And see if we can anchor down through that left sit bone a little bit, keeping the spine nice and tall. For many of you, this will be plenty, but if you want to move deeper, that left hand stays on the ground. Inhale that right arm up and over. As you're ready, inhale, we lift back up. Exhale, we'll release. We'll go ahead and release that left leg. Give it a little love. Say thanks. Give a little pat down. And then we'll take both legs long, finding a nice, comfortable, wide seated position. So pressing energy out through the heels, toes curl back, pressing the sit bones, sit up nice and tall. Again, if we have that tightness in the low back, use the hands on either side of the hips to help lift up, decompress that low back, open the heart, soften the shoulders. If this feels good, stay right here. If even using your hands behind to help you just come forward an inch or two feels good, then maybe that's what you do. If you want to bring the hands in front, start to walk the hands forward. Come forward a little more with each breath. Inhale, lengthens. Adjust, and exhale, soften, sink in. Couple more breaths here. And then as you're ready, inhale, we'll lift back up and we'll just come into easy cross-legged. Letting one leg come in front of the other. That works great. If easy cross-legged isn't easy, find another way to sit. We're going to work a little bit into the shoulders here. We'll start with our eagle arms. So we're going to take the right arm and just take it and cross it underneath the left. Wind those arms up, and maybe we can come to find that left thumb. Maybe we can start to press the palms so that they face the sides. Maybe we can even find that left palm. When we get there, we might lift the elbows just a little bit and pull the hands a little bit further away from the face. Seeing if you can keep the shoulders soft away from the ears and work to broaden the shoulders even as we're twisting the arms. Couple breaths. Exhale, we'll release and just give it a good shake out. Let those arms soften, let the hands relax. Maybe even just do a couple shoulder rolls. And then we're going to bring the hands behind the back. So pointing the fingertips back towards the hips. We're going to press into the hands, roll the heart open, press the heart to the sky. If it's okay with the neck, we drop the head back. And if it's not, keep the chin tucked. Couple breaths here. Rolling open through the chest, creating space between the shoulders. And then inhale, we lift up, and exhale, we'll just fold forward over the legs. Couple breaths. You folded forward, we'll lift back up. We're just going to take whichever leg is in front and put the other one in front just to keep those hips a little more even. We usually dominate towards one side. So just seeing how this side feels. And we'll do our other side of the eagle arms. So before we had the right arm underneath the left, this time we'll do left underneath the right. Or whichever side you didn't do before, wind them up, see if you can't find a thumb, or maybe even the palm, and then turn the palms to face the sides, lifting the elbows and letting the hands come away from the face. See if you can soften and widen the shoulders. Down and out. Couple breaths. And one more time, we'll just release, shake it out. Again, you want to find a couple shoulder rolls. And we'll try that front body opener one more time. Hands come behind the hips, fingertips face the hips, press into the palms, and then roll open through the front body, lifting that heart towards the sky. Roll the shoulders back. Breathe. And then inhale, lifting back up, and one more time, we'll just roll forward over the legs. Forward fold. Lifting ourselves back up, we're going to go ahead and work our way into a reclining position. We're going to work on reclining bound angle. So as you come on down to your back, we're going to have bent knees. Bring the heels together and let the knees open up towards either side, like butterfly pose. You can use the hands at the thighs to help open up. You can let the hands rest on the belly or out to the side. But the idea here is just to relax. Create some length in the spine. Let the low back soften down. Let the shoulders soften down. Not pushing or forcing your way, but allowing gravity to do the work of pulling the knees down as you soften the muscles and breathe. taking some time to sit with the tightness, seeing where we can let go, what we can release. And then maybe one leg at a time, we start to bring those knees back up. We're going to go ahead and hug the right knee in towards the chest. You can keep a bend in the left knee or maybe lengthening that left leg out along the earth. Soften the shoulders down, open the heart as we gently bring that right leg in towards the chest. We might point or flex or wiggle the toes, move the ankles around. Again, you have either option with that left leg, but we're going to see about straightening that right leg. So maybe the hands come behind the thigh. So we press that right heel up towards the sky. Can we keep some energy in the left leg as well as the right? Soften the shoulders. Breathe. And then from here, we're going to move into an upside down runner's lunge, or what I like to call half of a happy baby. So we're going to take a bend in that right knee, letting the knee just come to the outside of the rib cage. Right arm comes inside the right leg. We might grab onto the ankle. We might grab onto the big toe. We might even find the little toe edge side of the foot. And we gently let that right knee soften towards the ground while keeping some energy through that left leg. Now you can stay right here. You can also play around a little bit. If you want to work on straightening the leg a little bit, maybe it feels good to put a deeper bend in that knee, turn the knee out to the side. Maybe we move back and forth a little bit. Maybe we press that heel towards the sky. Open that hip up, ground down through that right hip. Breathe. We'll go ahead and exhale, release that right leg. We'll do those poses to the other side. Left knee hugs in towards the chest. Again, you can keep a bend in the right knee if you prefer, or lengthen that right leg out. Soften the shoulders, open the heart. And again, take a little bit of time as you hug that left knee in to play with that left ankle. Pointing, flexing, wiggling the toes. Again, as you're ready, we're going to extend that left leg up towards the sky. Maybe the hands come behind that left thigh. So we extend energy out through the left heel, but also keep some energy moving out through the right heel as well. Can the shoulders be soft, the heart be open? Keep breathing. And we'll move into our half of a happy baby, or upside down runner's lunge. Left knee bends, left arm comes inside the left leg. Again, hang on to whatever you can, if that's an ankle, if that's a big toe, or maybe even the little toe edge side of the foot. Gently pulling down so that left knee starts to soften towards the ground. That left hip opens up, keep some energy through that right leg. And again, feel free to stay where you are or to play a little bit. Find a little more length through the leg. Find a little more of a bend in the knee. And then we'll go ahead and release that left leg. We'll find a lumbar roll here to finish up. So keeping that right leg long, we'll bend the left knee, left foot comes in just inside that right thigh. Arms are out in one nice long line, palms face up. I like to use that left foot to press into the earth to tuck that right hip under a little bit. And then as you're ready, exhale, we roll onto that right hip, letting the left knee come over towards the right side. Keeping the heart open towards the sky, the shoulders grounded. Again, not pushing or forcing, softening, breathing, and allowing. And then as you're ready, inhale brings that left knee back up. Shift to the hips if we need to. We lengthen the left leg, right knee bends. Again, you could use that right foot to tuck that left hip under. Exhale, we roll onto that left hip. Right knee comes over towards the left side. If something doesn't feel right, take some time to adjust. Pull that left shoulder out. Then ground down through both shoulders. Then open the heart. Then see about twisting a little more. Couple more breaths here. As you're ready, inhale, we bring that knee back up, squaring off the hips. Taking a moment here, any other final movements you need to make, stretch, wiggle, adjust. We're going to start to settle down for Shavasana, our final relaxation pose. Lengthen out the spine. If it feels good to have the legs long, arms out to the side, palms face up, great, be there. And if you can find a more comfortable position, either with knees bent or if you'd rather be sitting, or any other pose where you can be still. Take the time to find your way there now. Starting to settle into that position, we let the eyes close. We let the breath soften. Let the mind become quiet and still. The thought drifts in, we simply let that thought drift right back out. Returning our awareness to the body, to the breath, to this very moment in front of us. Settle in. Quiet down. Breathe. As you're ready, we'll start to take a few deep breaths. Pulling in a little more energy, a little more air, slowly starting to awaken the body. You might start to find some small movements, wiggling the fingers or the toes. Stretching the arms or the legs. Whatever feels good here. Take your time. Slowly we start to make our way from Shavasana, however it works for you. You want to hug the knees in towards the chest. You want to roll over onto your right side. Take some time there. As you're ready, starting to make your way back up to an easy seated position. Taking a moment to let the sit bones ground you down into the earth. The spine lift you up, crown of the head reaching towards the sky. And noticing all the space you have within. If you'd like, hands can come together at heart center as we take this final moment now to honor that divine being that resides within each and every one of us. Namaste. Thanks so much for joining me. If you want to see more, please check me out at shinelightealth.com.